The DOGE chainsaw has been busy. 130 billion sawed off so far, but my favorite cut, 600 grand to stop trans boys from getting pregnant. Thank God. And 150 grand for climate change activities in Peru. That sounds a lot like cover for paying off a politician's Peruvian mistress. Back on planet Earth, Trump has bigger targets.
Would you be interested in defunding and taking away taxpayer dollars to NPR and PBS?
Well, I would love to do that. I think it's very unfair. It's been very biased, the whole group. I mean, a whole group of them.
As luck would have it, the House DOGE committee welcomed the presidents of NPR and PBS for a hearing today.
You called him a deranged racist and sociopath. You posted on X that America is addicted to white supremacy. It's appalling. You've publicly chastised using the phrase boy and girl. The federal funding that your outlet receives comes from all American taxpayer dollars, not just from your viewers who support such statements as these.
We spend $500 million a year for these stations to call half the country illiterate Nazis. Why are taxpayers funding channels for snobby women with dirty tote bags whose liberal dogs bite me while I'm hiking? I don't know. You turn on the radio or Sirius or Spotify, there's thousands of stations. Why are we funding the one station that shows drag queens to kids?
NPR and PBS have increasingly become radical left-wing echo chambers for a narrow audience of mostly wealthy, white, urban liberals and progressives who generally look down on and judge rural America. PBS News is not just left-leaning, but it is actively uses taxpayer funds to push some of the most radical left positions, like featuring a drag queen on the show Let's Learn.
No wonder all these kids think they're trans. They've grown up on Drag Queen Story Hour.
I wrote this book because I wanted everyone to get to experience the magic of drag and to get a little practice shaking their hips or shimmying their shoulders to know how we can feel fabulous inside of our own bodies.
Shaking your hips? Why is a guy wearing makeup and a dress telling kids to shimmy, shimmy, shake? And why are we paying for it? Democrats are cool with it. They treated the whole hearing like a joke.
Is Elmo now, or has he ever been, a member of the Communist Party of the United States? A yes or no?
No.
Are Bert and Ernie part of an extreme homosexual agenda?
No.
If we're going to get rid of any puppeteers, we should get rid of the one that's actually controlling Donald Trump. Fire Elon Musk and save Elmo.
No one's saying Bert and Ernie are gay commies. We're saying the drag queen might be. I had my producers check to see if Bert and Ernie were gay. Here's what we found. A former Sesame Street writer says he wrote Bert and Ernie as a gay couple, but Sesame Street swears they're just roommates. Anyway, Sesame Street in Iraq got DOGE, but we're still paying for it here. We're also paying for this. Here's a straight news show on PBS, or not so straight.
First, there's two sexes, is what they say. We know for a fact that there's three because there's intersex, and that's someone that's been born with some form of both. And so if we know that there's now three, then if you try to say there's black and white, then we know that there's another form of gray. And it's different shades from charcoal to light gray. And so if we know for a fact that there's at least three genders and sexes, then we have to start listening and go from there.
Why'd I pay for that? If CNN wants to say that, let them. It's their money. But don't do that with my money. NPR isn't doing much better. The CEO, Catherine Marr, under oath, insists her newsroom isn't biased. And they follow the highest journalistic standards.
Is NPR biased?
Congressman, I have never seen any instance of political bias determining editorial decisions, no.
In the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration.
87 to 0, and you're not biased?
I think that is concerning if those numbers are accurate.
You want to see bias in action? Look at what came out of the mouth of the CEO.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You
Don't know where
tweeted
statement
that in
comes from.
reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it. You said you took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter in January of 2020.
This woman hires 87 Democrats and 0 Republicans and says America's racist and she wants reparations. But in no way is she biased. Anyway, all that stuff she said, she forgot. She's only 41, not past her prime, Don Lemon, but she forgot. She forgot and she evolved. She's forgetting and evolving at the same time. Did the head of NPR just play the dumb blonde card? Because I find that offensive. She also played the I was a different person back then card. Can you do that from 4 years ago? I mean, you could do that with something you said in college, but this was 4 years ago. Before she ran NPR, Kathy ran Wikipedia. And if you Wikipedia Jesse Watters, actually don't. It's not nice. Kathy is not about telling the truth.
For our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start. In fact, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done. We all have different truths. They're based on things like where we come from, how we were raised, and how other people perceive us.
Yeah, truth can be distracting, like when you're trying to stage a coup or push a hoax. I agree. The truth can get in the way of getting things done. If you're a political animal, but not if you're reporting the news. Truth should be here. NPR takes our money and buries the truth.
How many times did y'all interview Adam Schiff about the Russia collusion?
I'm sorry, I don't have that number.
It was 25 times. You know how many times NPR interviewed Chairman of this committee, Oversight Committee, Jamie Comer, about the Biden impeachment inquiry for the Hunter Biden tax evasion and illicit business dealings of the Biden family?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
I believe that's 0, so it's 25-0. For 6 months, there was an analysis done on PBS's NewsHour from June to November of 2023, where they found that far right that term was used 162 times, and far left was only used 6 times. Do you find that troubling?
I don't know the study that you're referring to, and I'd be very interested in seeing it.
Adam Schiff had no evidence of Russia collusion, and he was on NPR every day. And they never even said, show me what you got, Adam. Comer had bank records, photos, texts of the Biden clan shaking down foreign countries. It was so bad, Biden had to pardon his son to keep him out of prison. But NPR saw what Comer had and wouldn't book him.
October 2020, the New York Post had the Hunter Biden laptop story, and one of those editors, I guess one of those 87 Democrat editors, said this: we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. We don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' times on stories that are just pure distractions. Was that a pure distraction story?
Our current editorial leadership believes that that was a mistake, as do I.
Yeah, the whole country knows that was a mistake. Definitely impacted the election.
NPR makes the same mistakes in the same direction again and again. That's when you know it's not a mistake. The government can't fund reporters who are trying to overthrow this government. We have enough propaganda channels. Why should taxpayers be on the hook for this one? I like Sesame Street. I grew up on it. I was Oscar the Grouch for Halloween. And my daughter Gigi loves Elmo. But around 99% of PBS and NPR's money comes from private donations. So why can't these donors pony up 1% more? Do they really need taxpayer money if they have billions pouring in from liberal benefactors? The answer is, of course not. But Democrats don't want to save any taxpayer money. They just want to run against Musk in the midterms.
It is the mindset of the Trump administration. And that is that this government is to be run for a handful of billionaires and people with power, and everyone else can just eat dirt. We're feeling it everywhere that Elon Musk goes with his magic chainsaw to fire people, to do it in ugly ways, to undermine the kind of obligations we have passed here in Congress.
Democrats are fighting to fund Drag Queen Story Hour, mysterious Amazonian women, pregnancy prevention for boys, but don't forget about DEI tomato seeds.
Behind a door at USDA, we found a whole box of these seeds. These are specific tomato seeds that are for growing diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility at USDA. I mean, look at these. If you can be anything, be inclusive at USDA.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.